Hello everyone. Welcome to our Lunch and Learn. It is Wednesday once again, and I am so excited to be here because today I'm going to talk to you about what I learned being coached by a Hollywood producer. And this is something that was really exciting to me. It's not something I ever dreamt of. It wasn't part of my vision board. It was literally an opportunity that had fallen in my lap. And it was a wonderful experience. And I think sometimes when we let things happen in our lives, that is when the greatest magic can arise. So with that, if you're feeling like, you want to allow things to happen and you might be getting a little bit in your own way, or you want to get the behind the scenes sneak peek into the lives of certain people or certain really influential individuals. And maybe you've had a dream and you don't really know how to make it happen, and you're looking for a bit more insight. This is the right place and the right time for you, because I'm going to share some behind the scenes footage and it is going to be awesome. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm Larissa McCouch. I am author, speaker, and CEO of Larissa McCouch Coaching. And I lead highly successful, motivated people through their mental barriers into unstoppable confidence, authenticity, and empowered lives. And my team and I, we are here. We like to rock the boat. We like to stretch you beyond your comfort zone so you can radically transform your life, so you can claim your future, because you were put on this earth to do beautiful and magical and wonderful things. And you are here to make it happen. Okay. So why did I decide to share this with you, right? Why am I talking about what I learned about being coached by a Hollywood producer? And I just want to rewind a little bit and share a bit of a story, okay? Because I was going through my notes. I found a big pile of old notes the other day. And I found the notes that I had from when I attended a very exclusive mastermind with this Hollywood producer I'm going to tell you about. And as I was going through them, I was just like, I was taking notes on these notes because they were just so good and so juicy. And my mind just started to wander. I don't know if you've ever just sat there, maybe on the grass, looking up at the clouds, watching the clouds move, and had your mind wander and get completely caught up and completely wrapped up in a daydream. And sometimes it's those moments of those daydreams where you just get the best idea, the most powerful thing that could possibly come to you when you're not looking for it. And I think when we let things happen in our lives is when those opportunities truly do arise. And so I had heard of this producer a few times. I had never met him in person, but I'd seen him on a couple of I've seen him at a couple of conferences. And I had some friends that had worked with him, and I had some friends that had actually met him. And one of my really good friends, she was actually getting personally coached by him. And so she texted me one day, she's like, he's got some room in a special exclusive mastermind. You should attend. And I was like, oh, okay, this sounds interesting. Really bad timing. It was very expensive, and more expensive than I've ever paid for anything in over a 2-day period. And it was happening like a week away. Okay. And so the crazy thing is, I saw this opportunity. I looked at it. I'm like, I don't know why I'm going to do this, but I'm going to jump on it. And so I booked my flights. I booked the conference. It was a 2-day exclusive mastermind opportunity, and I went for it. And then the next day I got a call that said, we have to postpone. Something came up. Okay. I had one of the last spots and they had to postpone. So I just booked everything and it all turned upside down. Anyway, flash forward another couple of months and it was back on, and I believe it was the last opportunity like this. And I was very fortunate to be able to attend this amazing event. Okay. And when I went there, I remember having this preconceived notion of what Hollywood was and what producers were like and what actors were like and what this world had been from all the movies that you've seen, right? You see a lot of movies in your world and in your youth, and it creates certain pictures for you. And sometimes when you actually do take a moment to be behind the scenes, not just by watching a documentary, but really connecting to people, you start to learn things and observe things you didn't know were as powerful as they were. And so I want to share with you not just some of the key things he said, I want to share with you some of the nuances that I noticed that just by being coached by him over this 2-day period. Okay. So I want you to picture this. We walk in to a boardroom at Universal Studios. So first of all, when you go to Universal Studios, you have these passes, you have to go through security, and then you're guided along the way, right? If you don't know where you're going. And so we were guided to a boardroom, and there were just a handful of us sitting around this boardroom table. And it was such an interesting experience because from the moment we got there, I was a little bit nervous. I was nervous-sided because it's like, oh my goodness, like I had all these thoughts. Am I good enough to be here? Do I have something to contribute? I didn't know who was going to be attending other than my friend who invited me to this event because she was also there. And yet there was this air of calm. And as we sat there introducing ourselves to one another, I realized there were people literally from all over the world. I think we were all from different continents, different countries, different cultural backgrounds. And there were a couple people from the States, but people were from Europe, people were from Australia, people were from all over the place, from Asia. And they had flown in for this exclusive opportunity. And I also really noticed that when you have a dream, when you have a vision, one of the biggest things that I really noticed in that moment as I was sitting there listening to people's goals, listening to people's visions, is everyone has such a different vision than me. I always thought, I'm like, am I just doing what everyone else is doing? And it was so beautiful to see the diversity of visions and the diversity of what people had to offer. We're not allowed to talk about what the details of those are. However, when you are exposed, right? When you are exposed to something that's this big, and then you get exposed to something this big, and this big, and this big, and this big, and this big, the more you're exposed to new opportunities and new thinking, whether it has anything to do with what you're doing, the more your vision starts to expand. And in that moment, I realized just by listening to these people's visions and to hearing what they were after, what their goals were, my vision of myself and what's possible started to also expand. I wrote something down and I said, I don't know if I could actually say it out loud. And I was so scared when I first wrote it down on that paper. And then by the end of the weekend, I was just rocking it. I created an affirmation. I was recording it. I was listening to it. I'm like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But it became a mission for me. Now, this event was called Accomplish Anything. And the producer that I met and that I was working with, his name was Phil Goldfine. And Phil Goldfine is actually a student of Bob Proctor's. And I'm also a student of Bob Proctor's. I'm one of Bob's consultants. And so Bob has him attend many of his conferences. And he comes with his trophies. He's got an Oscar and he's got pretty much every award. I think maybe an Emmy, a Golden Panda. He's gotten awards in film, in TV, in Broadway. He's got a room full of awards. All his awards are in his office. So he always comes with his awards to show people that what is possible when you do this kind of work. And he didn't start off with advantages and people throwing him opportunities. He started out as a little boy that used to like drive by these Hollywood film lots, dreaming that he would be on there one day, that he'd have an office on there one day and he'd be making movies. People told him, they're like, you're crazy. Like, what are you going to do? And he didn't have any other ideas. And he knew with conviction, that's what he'd do. And unlike many Hollywood producers, he produces dozens of movies every single year and like double digits of movies every single year, which is really, really profound because so often many people if they produce a movie every 2 or 3 years, that's a big accomplishment. So for him, he's been in this industry many, many years, and he's got this incredible longevity, and he's been able to really step forward and move himself forward because of a dream he had as a child, and because of the work that he's done using his mindset tools, using the material that I work with, that Bob teaches, that I teach, and it has transformed his life. So he put this event called Accomplish Anything together. And it really is about accomplishing anything you set out and anything you desire. Like, if you could accomplish anything, what would that be? What would that be? Pop it in the chat. I want to know, right? If you could accomplish anything, even if it's crazy, even if it sounds totally unrealistic, what would that be? Do you know? Are you willing to even pop it in the chat? Are you willing to admit it to yourself? Are you willing to admit it to others? One of the biggest keys that I learned sitting around this table, we each had to share our initial vision, and then we each got a workshop where we had exclusive focus on ourselves and our opportunity and what we were doing with it. And going around the table, he challenged us. And if he didn't fully buy our belief in our opportunity, our vision in the opportunity, he really stretched us and pushed us forward. Because essentially, you've got to know your dream. Everything is created twice, first in the mind and then in reality. And if we weren't clear enough on our dreams, and every single person except for one, including me, was not clear enough on our dreams, he challenged us and he gave us tools and resources that we were to do. And we were to apply some homework by the next day before we came back. Because if our dream is not clear enough in our mind, it will not become reality. And that was a huge moment, because I thought that I had a clear dream. I'm like, I have pages of this. I have pages of this. I have so many ideas. And I life scripted it over and over and over again. I heard other people's dreams and they sounded great. And when you really step back and listened to the hesitations or to the nuances, they weren't crystal clear. They weren't just crystal clear. And you could tell that there was like almost a belief, but then there was like a tiny piece of them that didn't fully believe and fully invest. And you really need to have absolute faith, absolute conviction in your dream in order to turn it into reality. You need to have that crystal clear picture in order to turn it into reality. And sometimes initially we need to convince ourselves. We absolutely need to convince ourselves before we convince other people. And the more time you spend workshopping your dream, the more time you spend entering your creative workshop to crystallize the exact picture and the exact nuances of what you want, the more real it will become and the easier it will happen. So some of the things that Phil did was he wanted an Oscar. And then he was going for a second Oscar. He's like, I want 2 Oscars. That was his next goal. And he didn't get the second Oscar. And one of the things he told us, he's like, well, I didn't get the second Oscar because I didn't want it like I wanted the first one. The first one, I knew it was mine. I knew I had it. I knew I could picture that. And the second one, he's like, I almost did. I was like 99% of the way there. And I really didn't, I didn't buy into me. And so it's so key. That's like the power of stepping into your goal and really stepping into your belief system. And the first person, like I said, that you need to convince, that you need to create that faith in, is yourself. Because when you step into a big goal and a big dream and a big vision, and you keep coming back to it, you keep crystallizing it, and you build your belief and your faith in yourself, it doesn't have a choice but to manifest. Okay. So that was a really big realization, because we were all called out on everything immediately. And it was so, so powerful. It gave me goosebumps. And it was also a humbling experience and a comforting experience to know I wasn't the only one in that situation. top producers, top achievers from all over the world were there with these amazing dreams that they were taking action on. And there was still a part of them that needed to be more crystal clear. And so that was our first bit of homework. He sent us away and he's like, clarify your dream. If you want to accomplish anything, it starts with this. And it wasn't a whole bunch of tactics. It wasn't a whole bunch of to-dos. It literally was something as simple and basic, right? We're going simple and basic, yet powerful, as crystallizing the picture. And he gave us some tools that were really individualized for each of us to be able to do that based on who we were. So step one to accomplishing anything is get clarity on your picture and build your belief in yourself. You've got to have crystal clarity so you can create it in your mind, and then it will happen in reality. You've got to have the faith and belief that it's going to happen no matter what. Something else that really stood out in this experience was the power of people. If you think of a movie, there's so many different roles that need to be done. A single person cannot do everything all by themselves. You need directors, you need producers, you need the cast, you need videographers, you need people to edit the movie, you need wardrobe. There's so many different people that are involved in making a movie, and the amount of people will vary depending on the production. However, even at the day-to-day level, the power of people was so pivotal. One of the things that we did as a collective that really reinforced this was we ate together. We ate every meal together. There wasn't, oh, take an hour for lunch and go off on your own. We ate every single meal together. Sounds simple. How often do you sit and eat with the most important people in your life? How often do you break bread with people? The conversations that happen around a meal are an extension of what's happening in your other world, infused with additional creativity. And breaking bread together, sitting and eating together was such a profound experience because we can, again, build a different level of connection. And when we were eating lunch, that was really, really profound to me because it was like we were bonding at such an intense level. Flash forward to dinner after our first night, we bonded again. We had a great meal together, and there was something else I noticed that Phil did at that meal, and he was absolutely courteous. He was absolutely gracious. It was wonderful to connect and learn more about him and his life and the world that he lives in, and also really observe his standards because he had incredibly high standards for himself. At the crack of, it was 7 or 8, I think it was 7 o'clock, he looked at his watch and he's like, okay, I'm out of here. Been great. I've got to go home. Because one of the things he does is he gets to bed by 8 or 9 so he can get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And he actually swims. One of his other goals is to win a world championship in swimming. So he gets up every morning so he could do his mindset routine so he can get himself in a high vibration and also take the time to start swimming. He didn't do this in the past, and he used to take his son to the pool and remember that he really had a passion for swimming. So this is something he started. But he had this incredibly high standard for himself that nothing was going to shake, right? He didn't drink. He got up when he needed to so he can get to bed on time so he could get up and have a beautiful day and serve his heart out. He could serve himself. He could serve his family. He could serve us in our workshop and still do business along the way, right? The business never stopped, yet he was never in a hurry and he was never in a rush and he was never stressed because he took his time to set himself up for success. So connecting with people, huge thing I really learned and observed in a different way. And also sticking to your standards, right? He had standards of excellence. What are the standards of excellence that you are setting? When are you going to bed? When are you waking up? What are you doing with your time? Are you fully present with the people in your life? Are you showing up prepared? What are your standards and how are you making a decision to show up in your life? Because excellence ultimately is a habit. Excellence is a habit. And when you show up in a high state of excellence, that's when you achieve high results. That's when you truly can accomplish anything. There was one other moment that really stood out, actually 2 more moments along this journey, is he took us to his office. Okay, he took us to his personal office. So we started in the boardroom, but then we went to his office and got a tour of his office and got to hang out in his office. And he was surrounded by his goal, right? Clarity of your goal. He was also surrounded by it, even to the point of having a full wall-size calendar, like half his entire wall beside his desk was entirely covered by a calendar that plotted out his year. And it was color-coded. It had sticky notes on it. And it was beautiful because in a glance, he could see what his year looked like. He had crystal clarity of his goal in his mind, and he could also see it and when it was happening and how it was happening and how it was unfolding. He had visuals and he had cues in his office that were helping him move forward in the direction of his goal. And even just seeing that mode of operation, like, yes, we all have these calendars on the phone, we all have planners, we all have these things, but to really just see it physically in front of him, to be able to just glance over at the wall and know exactly where he was and what projects he was working on was huge. The power of a visual calendar, the power of a whiteboard, and the power of knowing where you're going and having it right in front of you is absolutely massive. It is totally amazing. Talk about focus. And sometimes we forget this. And it's so easy to just close a book or turn your phone off or turn it over and forget about your goal. However, when you're immersed in your goal, when you want to accomplish anything, your goal is not an invasion of your privacy. Your goal is not something you need to practice work-life balance for. It is your life. It is a part of your life. Your goal and you ultimately become one. One's not better, one's not worse. There may be days where you spend your entire day, an 18 or 20-hour day, pursuing your goal or doing something focused on your goal that's action-oriented. And there may be other days where you appear to do nothing in physical reality. And you might be at the spa or you might be out walking with your family and you are opening yourself up to inspiration. You're meditating, you're letting the answers come to you, and it's always there, right? You never separate yourself from your goal. You never make it better than anything else. It just becomes a part of you. And I thought that world was so incredible. Yes, you need a bigger whiteboard. We all need a bigger whiteboard. So I know Liz on our team just got a whiteboard, so we're super excited for her. And whiteboards are so, so key. We will do a whiteboard class one day. And so yeah, being that calendar ninja, seeing your goal in front of you in many ways is so, so key. I thought that was just awesome because I've heard of it until I actually saw it. I could picture it. I saw how big, like it was covering half his wall, like from his desk right up to his ceiling. It was covering the whole wall. It was huge and it was so powerful. So the final thing I wanted to touch on that was also really beautiful and really powerful was we ended our second day with a tour of Universal Studios. And so this is like a fun activity. You get on a tram, you get to expedite the line when you go in with the actual producer. So that was great. So we got an exclusive tour of Universal Studios and we got to see the sets and we got to walk around because we had actually physically walked Universal Studios and he told us about it. And then we got to see it from the tourist's perspective. And to really see the creativity and to really see the genius that goes behind something like that can't just be created on a whim. That is absolutely created in someone's mind. And to have people be able to create the incredible things they do in movies, that comes from somewhere. And just to see that vastness and just to experience that vastness, it was absolutely outstanding. Because if you think 100 or 200 years ago, that didn't exist. The possibilities for that didn't exist. And they didn't exist in the physical world, yet they did exist in someone's mind because everything does exist in here before it manifests into physical reality. And so really thinking about that, what is in here that you want to manifest into physical reality? Because just because you can't see it, just because it's not there, just because you can't hold it in your hand yet, doesn't mean it's not possible. The Wright brothers, they created the possibility of flying. And the possibility was always out there, just like the possibility of movies were always out there, just like the possibility of tuning in and tugging in on people's heartstrings through movies was out there. However, They just didn't have the right steps in place to make it happen at the time, until the Wright brothers came and persisted and persisted and persisted and created that physical reality. So what is that crazy ass dream in your mind? If you could accomplish anything, what would that be? Where would it come from? And where would you want to start? Start nurturing that dream. It's almost like a seed that you're going to plant. You're just going to plant this seed, and then it's going to grow, and it's going to grow, and it's going to grow and turn into this absolutely beautiful, absolutely stunning physical reality. And you're going to look back on yourself, on your life, on your possibilities that once just could be, and realize they were. It's up to us to step into our courage. Albert Einstein said, imagination is the most powerful force in the universe. And this is something that I truly believe that we have forgotten as adults. And the more we tune into our childlike imagination, the more we tune into our authenticity and what's true to us, the more we actually can and will accomplish. It's not just about doing. We need the dreaming, and we need the doing. And we need to do the doing in such a spirit, in such a beautiful way that is completely congruent, completely aligned with our goal. One of the things, like I said, when we were sitting in that boardroom and Phil was asking us about our goals, if he didn't fully buy it and fully believe it, that means we didn't believe it ourselves. And he called us out on it. And it was such a humbling moment. And the more I spent crafting my goal and really tuning into my authentic self, the thing that spit out of my mouth was absolutely ridiculous. I had no idea how to do it. I don't know where it came from. It just came out. And then he's like, yeah, that's good. And everyone in that room believed it. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but everyone believed it. And I believed it too, because our conscious mind can't process what's in our potential reality. It's up to us to let the right things come out and follow those hunches. It's up to us to be creative and allow the right things to happen and follow those hunches along the way. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope this has been a bit of insight into my experience going into Hollywood and being coached by Phil, because he is an absolutely incredible human being. He is so loving, so giving, and he lives his life in gratitude. He really, really does. He is grateful for every moment of every day, for every opportunity that comes his way. And he lives his life in gratitude, which is something I started doing after that event. So I want you to go live in gratitude. Go connect even deeper with the people in your life and really recognize the power of team, the power of what it takes to make a cohesive system, a cohesive goal, a cohesive dream turn into reality. Go continue entering your creative workshop and gain clarity on that which you desire. And really be truthful with yourself about what it is that you desire, because it's in you. All you have to do is unleash it and let it out. You really, truly can accomplish anything. Just stick to your standards, find your truth, and go out and make it happen. That's it for today. I'll be back again next week. Bye for now.